Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters temporary studio. Welcome to the show. So, spoiler season continues on, and we've got, and my apologies again if I mispronounce this name, I'm going to go with Otharri, Sun's Glory, a 3/3 legendary Phoenix. That's right, a new Phoenix Commander, but one that may or may not be Phoenix Tribal. Depending on what you want to do with it, you probably could. Anyways, flying lifelink and haste, costing 3 red and a white, and it has, whenever Otharri attacks, you get an experience counter. That's right, we've got an experience counter Phoenix Commander. A phrase that I don't know if I'd ever thought I would have to say that, but here we are. Anyways, when it attacks, you get an experience counter. Then you create a 2/2 red rebel creature token that's tapped and attacking for each experience counter you have. So, the more you attack with this, the more experience counters you get, and the more rebels you get that are tapped and attacking. And again, those are 2/2 tokens, and that can add up a lot throughout the game. On top of that, yeah, this would not be a Phoenix if you couldn't get it back somehow from your graveyard. Pay 2 red, white, tap an untapped rebel you control, return Otharri from your graveyard to the battlefield. Tapped. Now, this one, you kind of got to be careful with, just a little bit. I mean, this obviously has a lot of potential to be brought back from your graveyard, so you can basically get around, commander attacks, and in fact, you're kind of getting a discount on actually even just casting this. I mean, instead of actually, casting it, well, you have to do it the first time unless you've got a way, to command beacon it to your hand or whatnot, but still, regardless, getting it back from your graveyard only costs 4 mana. It costs 5 to actually just cast this, so yeah, you can save a good amount of mana on this. Now, keep in mind, it does come into play tapped, and you have to tap a rebel to do so. Now, those two things obviously are pretty important. Number one, it does come into play tapped, so, hey, don't do this on your turn if you can help it, because, well, you're not going to be able to attack with it unless you can untap it and then, attack with it. So yeah, do it, maybe at the end of the turn right before yours. And also, make sure you've got a rebel around to help you with this, because the worst thing that could possibly happen is you're like, okay, well, I've got this deck with my Phoenix, and it's completely built around, well, no rebels at all, and yeah, okay, my commander attacked, cool, I got a rebel, and then, oh no, my Phoenix got dealt with, awesome, well, I'll send it to my graveyard instead of the command zone, because I've got rebels in play that can help, and then all of a sudden, a Wrath of God happens, and I don't have any rebels at all, ever, to actually, get it back to my graveyard, so just stuck there, so yeah. Don't do that. Make sure you have a backup plan, whether that is, able to, exile your graveyard or whatnot, or maybe more rebels in the deck, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, you need to ensure that you've got some ways to get this back, and you've got some contingency plans in case something happens. But yeah, this is a commander that I think that has a lot of potential. It's one that I think players are going to be excited about. It's one that, well, you've got a lot of ways that you can get more and more experience counters more and more quickly to make a massive army in absolutely no time. And yeah, of course, rebels. Now, I should have mentioned, and I definitely forgot to, but yeah, there is going to be a link in the description below for the cards I'm talking about on this episode, and I'm going to be breaking them up into budget buys, which are cards like these that are less than $1, cards are within my budget, and then cards that are above my budget, cards that are over $1 with the pricier picks. So, first up with the budget buys, we've got Throne of Geth, Grateful Operation, and Response, well, more so like Resurgence. Throne of Geth, tap, sacrifice an artifact, proliferate. Yeah, proliferating can be great for a lot of things. Hey, I mean, poison counters like in this set. Also, ++1 counters. And with this commander, experience counters. That's right. Getting more and more experience counters more quickly obviously leads to us building up an army even quicker. Again, if we get up to, let's just say 6 experience counters, when we attack with our commander, we're going to be getting another experience counter, putting it to 7, and then making 7 2/2s. So yeah, the more experience counters we have, the more damage we can put out, the more creatures we can make, the more power we have on the board. It's all going to be good things. Anyways, Grateful Operation, another way to get proliferation to happen quite often, a 1/1 flyer. So this is evasive, low to the ground, and when it deals counter to a player or planeswalker, proliferate. So yeah, more experience counters is never going to be a bad thing. Speaking of which, Resurgence. I mean, Response is nice too. Sure, deal 5 damage to attacking your blocking creature. Cool. More importantly, Resurgence. Creatures you control gain first strike and vigilance end of turn. After this main phase, initial combat phase, basically, hey, you are going to get a second additional combat spell right here. And one of the only, if not the only, actual budget buy extra combat spells. So please stay budget. Please, Response Resurgence, stay budget. But yeah, being able to swing again with our commander, of course, another way to get more experience counters and another way just to get that attack trigger. So yeah, I mean, double up on the number of tokens that you're getting in a turn. Actually, even more so than that. Yeah, so getting extra counters, never a bad thing. With this commander, getting extra creatures, never a bad thing as well. And making those creatures hit even harder, and yes, our commander as well. And I probably should have mentioned that real quick. Yeah, our commander having flying is great because, yeah, somewhat protected in combat, being able to swing at someone. I mean, even if it gets dealt with and get it back. But regardless, Dictative Heliod, flash creature control +2/+2. This can be a fantastic way to pump our team. I mean, basically, this is doubling up every single one of our rebels' power and toughness, obviously. You know, make it 2/2s, 2 4/4s, so they're going to be hitting twice as hard. Yeah, this can just be a great surprising way. Again, you can utilize this as a combat trick to really surprise our opponents, hit them even harder, take out their creatures. Rage Reflection's another way to do that. Not as surprising because you can't flash it in. Regardless, creatures you control have double strike. Yeah, pairs really well with Dictative Heliod. I mean, just picture that.
Okay, so normally I would have my 2/2s, but they are now 4/4s, and they are going to be double striking, so they will hit for basically 8 damage per creature.
So yeah, the more and more experience counters you get, the more and more rebels you get to play, the harder they're going to be hitting. And Audric Luloc Marshall. A little Sean Connery right there. Pretty terrible. Regardless, yeah, Audric, who looks kind of like Sean Connery. Beginning of each combat, creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn if a creature you control has first strike. Same is true for, get ready for it, flying, death touch, double strike, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, skulk, trample, and vigilance. Yeah, our commander already has keyword soup on it, so hey, all of our rebels now have all those keywords as well, flying and lifelink. What's not to love about that? They can get through, they can also hit harder, and they can also, gain us some life. I mean, they hit harder, I guess, if we have the double strike, Rage Reflection in play, but they already have it. You know what I mean. Regardless, Audric can help out a ton. And like I mentioned, yeah, you actually might want to consider some rebels as well. Now, I'm not saying you have to go rebel tribal. You definitely can, and if you do, some that you might want to consider, like Children of Korlos, or, Lyn Civi, or Bound in Silence even. And actually, I probably should have mentioned shapeshifters obviously work as well, so just keep that in mind, like mirror entity and that kind of stuff. But yeah, you might want to consider a couple of rebels potentially, or at least some ways to get rid of your graveyard in case your Phoenix gets stuck there. But yeah, I mean, you can lean into Rebel Tribal, and if you do, Children of Korlos is a great one. I've actually used this in other decks as well. Sacrifice it, you gain life, ability, life lost this turn. So yeah, basically, hey, your opponents, oh, they might hit you for a lot, but then you're like, you know what? No. So it's basically just like a massive fog in a way, but a way that can actually, also just gain you life back from, burn spells as well. Lyn Civi, Defiant Hero. Hey, this is a great rebel that can go get other rebels. So again, if you are doing Rebel Tribal, cool, do that. You can also put rebels from your graveyard on the bottom of your library so you can go get them again if you really want to. Bound in Silence. This one's an interesting one because keep in mind, our commander specifies tap an untapped rebel you control. It does not say tap an untapped rebel creature you control. So Bound in Silence, which is a tribal enchantment rebel aura, does work with that. Enchant creature can't attack or block, basically a pacifism, but still, it is a rebel, so you can tap it for your commander's ability. Now, when it comes to some pricier picks, again, cards that are outside of my $1 budget restriction, the first one that came to my mind is Zirda the Dawnwaker. Now, Zirda is not a rebel. Zirda is an elemental fox, but what Zirda does say is, okay, well, companion, each permanent card in your starting deck has an activate ability, and yeah, you could utilize this as your companion if you really want to. You don't have to, but more importantly, abilities you activate that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the cost to less than 1 mana. So basically, hey, you know how your Phoenix has that ability that costs 4 mana essentially? Well, now you take out that generic mana, and now it's just red, white, and tap and untap rebel you control to bring your Phoenix back. So just 2 mana, again, for a 5 mana commander. Yeah, you are getting a lot of a discount on that. Speaking of which, yeah, Hearthstone is another thing that you can consider as well. Basically, a very similar effect on Artifact. The reduction is just 1, and it accounts for every single player's creatures. So yeah, keep that in mind. Obviously, this could help your opponents as well, but if you've got other creatures that might want some, reduction as well, make sure you consider this too. Now, with the pricier picks, kind of like I mentioned in the budget buys, unfortunately, a lot of additional combat spells have gotten quite expensive. I mean, even like just Relentless Assault, like, you know, your basic extra combat spell is now well over $1 because, I mean, I guess they're printing a lot of things that want to attack. I mean, there's some attack Harmonic commanders. Anyways, Seize the Day, a great card for this commander, a very specific way to get extra combat. Untap target creature at this main phase, additional combat phase, additional main phase. We really only care, I mean, okay, yes, we care about attacking with other creatures too. Yes, but when it comes to the attack trigger, we only care about attacking with our commander again, because that's going to be much more valuable. So just untapping a singular creature with this is obviously going to be our commander. We attack again, we get another experience counter, we get more of those 2/2 rebels into play. What's not to love? Oh, and on top of that, yeah, we can flash it back for just 3 mana. So yeah, basically 2 extra combat spells in 1. Absolutely a great pricey pick. Aggravated Assault, another one that we can definitely consider if we have a massive budget, because yeah, this card is quite expensive. Enchantment that says pay 3 red, untap all creatures you control. Basically, okay, a lot of text here. Basically, get an extra combat. So 5 mana, extra combat. Yeah, again, this can really add up in the amount of value that it's giving us throughout the game. The more and more we attack with our commander, the more and more experience counters we get, and the more and more tokens we're going to be creating. Breath of Fury. This one basically goes infinite with our commander. If we can get a creature through with it each time, which, and again, there are definitely ways to do that. I mean, I talked about Otharri giving our creatures flying. That could definitely work out. There's other ways as well. Regardless, Breath of Fury, it says enchant creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat to a player, sacrifice attach Breath of Fury to a creature you control. If you do, untap all creatures you control after this phase, additional combat phase. Basically, again, our commander on attack is going to be making a creature token. Cool. Let's throw this aura onto that. And again, hopefully we've got Otharri or some other way to make that creature evasive. We swing, we hit an opponent with that creature. Cool, we sacrifice that creature. And I forgot to mention that on the attack, of course, we made even more rebels. So then we move this onto a different rebel. Then we go to combat again. We do it again, and again, and again, and again. Essentially, again, if we can keep getting our creatures through, we're going to take out all of our opponents and make a massive army of rebels. Yeah, that can be quite fun. And of course, when it comes to attacking, we can protect our creatures while they're attacking with a fantastic card with Dolmen Gate. Hey, prevent all combat damage to be dealt to attacking creatures you control. Yeah, swing away to your heart's content again. With our Phoenix, we need to get that attack trigger by swinging. Usually flying is enough to get through, but if not, protect it in combat anyways. On top of that, of course, again, keep in mind, our Rebel creature tokens are coming into play tapped and attacking, so this is going to protect them as well. We get to keep more and more of them around. They're just going to dish out damage, but they won't have any damage dished out to them. But another way to protect our creatures in combat is just to make them so massive that there's no way our opponents can take them out. Yeah, Cathar's Crusade. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a counter on each creature you control. This can get ridiculous with a commander like this. I mean, again, the more and more experience counters you have, the more and more creature tokens you're going to be making. Again, with our example of, let's say we're at 6 experience counters. We attack with our commander. We're at 7 now. We make 7 tokens. That's 7 counters on every single creature we control. Gross. So yeah, our commander can very easily become a 2 or even 1-shot KO with this in play. And speaking of just absolutely gross, Anointed Procession. Yeah, when you've got a commander that cares about making creature tokens or cares about tokens themselves, hey, Anointed Procession, double up your tokens. Yep, now basically, hey, you know the number of experience counters you have? Let's just double up their effectiveness, essentially. Let's make twice as many Rebel tokens. Good luck, opponents. So yeah, I think this commander has a good amount of potential. I do think that players can take it in different directions. Again, sure, you can go, Phoenix Tribal with it if you really want to. You can go, Experience Counter Tribal in a way. I mean, actually, it'd probably be more so a part of another Experience Counter deck, but basically a deck that is built around Experience Counters, this can get them quite quickly. And of course, you could go Rebel Tribal if you really want to. You could go, really big into tokens. This one is one that can be taken in a good amount of different directions. It is one that can get out of control quite quickly, again, with certain things like, proliferating or the additional combats or, with ways to make your rebels even more impactful. Again, just a quick note. Please, please, please be careful about just sending this to your graveyard and assuming that you will have a rebel to get it back. If you have no untapped rebels or not enough mana open to actually get this back, and you don't have, any rebels in your deck or any way to get rid of your graveyard or any way to get this out of your graveyard, and then an opponent just simply Wrath of Gods the board, you might be out of luck for quite some time if your entire deck is just built around this. So yeah, make sure you have some backup plans. And yeah, also, again, I forgot to mention one of my favorite cards of all time, Mirror Entity. Make sure you consider that one as well. Fantastic card in this deck. Again, a Shapeshifter, which is a rebel that can also pump your team. So yeah, make sure you're considering all these things. And also make sure you, well, consider, this is probably saying this wrong, consider looking in the description below. There we go. For the card list link of all the cards I talked about on this episode, if you are interested in this brand new Phoenix Commander. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.